Canberra Metalheads.
The Archives.
Me and You Season 2. Alright, let's kick it.
To the interview section of Canberra Metalheads. You're listening to Marky Malphas
and JDecay,
and we're joined here with the guys from I Exist. So from left to right, we've got
your left or my left?
my left.
Your left.
Yep.
If I look at your left, there's a pile of empty beers from the
VIP,
the basement for the Doom 50th anniversary show. I'm sure that none of us were here. You weren't here, were you?
I don't know. We're going to have time to introduce me.
Oh, we haven't talked yet. Hi, I'm Jim Morrison from the Doors, the anniversary show. AKA Josh Nixon.
JJ Lahore.
Thank you, that's my formal title.
Mr. Lahore today until we get acquainted.
Yes, let's keep it formal for now. Thank you.
And
I'm Jake, JJ's understudy, known as JJ Jr. sometimes around the trips.
And I'm in the room of JJ.
He's underselling there. He's quite a bit more than me. Jake's actually works in a trade, in the electricity trade.
Excellent.
Whereas I work on computers and play guitar. So in a zombie apocalypse type situation, I'm going straight into the food locker.
Yeah.
As being useful guitar IT guy as opposed to...
It don't work like that because if there's a zombie apocalypse, there's no power. The power's gone out. I'm out of a job.
You'll be able to make the Jenny work.
Yeah, exactly. See,
true.
Man, any game I've ever played, there's the whole thing is to get power restored. Like that's how it works. I've done apocalypse games before. As you mentioned before, Josh, we're at the basement recording this episode in the green room. As mentioned before, there's
the greening out room. The green room.
Well, it is a Doom show, man. And as we said before, we heard one of your tracks. Josh has been on the show before. We played that track from vinyl, which is cool. Gives it a nice Doom sound. What sort of music you guys been listening to lately? Any Doom tracks that you want to talk about?
Jake?
Oh, you're the king of Doom, mate.
Yes, well, it's been another fruitful year in Doomtown. I'm sure that you've all been keeping up abreast of the issues.
There's the IT background coming out.
Abreast, that's right. Well, Doom and Sludge-wise, of course, Beast Wars released their album 4 in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, and the album actually went to the top of the New Zealand charts for a week.
Yep.
But it made it there, and that's very interesting. Fascinating story. The singer was recovering from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and was still on the end of his chemo when he was doing the vocals for that album. So it's a pretty intense story. They had broken up. Matt, the singer, got diagnosed, and then the boys decided to give him something to focus on. They'd make another record.
Yep.
So that's where 4 came from, which is pretty impressive to get that, and gives the lyrics a bit more weight as well. So it's a pretty cool album in the sludgier, not so slow. I'd also suggest for extremely heavy but still kind of more melodic-y up the new Torch album, Admission.
Ooh.
Absolute deliciousness.
No, that one yet.
You haven't heard that one yet? So they're tuned to A standard, so extremely low.
Yep.
But then their 6th string is what they call a bomb string, so it's like... and that's pretty much what happens to your underpants on a lot of their work. But this one's a little bit more almost poppy. It's got some weird... cool ambient-y melody guitar lines going over the crushingness, which is cool. Slowmatic's new record is amazing as well. That's called Canyons. That's really rad. It's a bit slow and methodical. It's not an uplifting one, that one. It's not one you'd play to mum in the car on your way out on a Friday night. The new St. Vitus, well, Scott Riegers is back in the band, and he's absolutely on fire. I absolutely love that record. Is that the Doom one?
That's your time up, mate.
All right, sorry, I'm going to keep going. Nepenthus from Japan, a fantastic sludge band. I'm really enjoying that. But actually, today on the way here, I was enjoying some extremely sloppy old school death metal. by a band called Cerebral Rot
Okay.
off their forthcoming record, Odious Descent into Decay, which had featured the song that I enjoyed the most this morning, Swamped in Festering Excrementia.
What's that Latin for?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jake. As you know, I'm a bit of an armchair Latin specialist, and excrementia is it's a fancy name for poo-poo.
It's basically the opposite to dementia. It affects your ass instead of your head.
Except that you forgot you'd done a shit. Which, you know, can get you into all sorts of problems.
Oh, man. And that's all from your recent references, which we all like about the about having you on the show. I know last time you ran through a bunch of Doom tracks, your picks, and that got some good feedback to us. Everyone likes the Doom brackets, playing the Doom song.
We had the Josh Doom bracket going there for about 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Look, I'm happy to provide it at any time that it may be required. Everyone can always use just a breath of fresh air in between the blast beats.
Yep.
And just come to some sludgy, sloppy heaviness. It's
Exactly.
what everyone wants, much like the excrementia.
But you're talking about a guy who still listens to, 99% of your music off an iPod? Or essentially uses your phone like an iPod, don't you?
The phone.
Yep.
You've all but not caught on with streaming services yet, have you?
Jake, I just want to say that I have 3 children. So that anything that has a moving part is going to end up like everyone goes, I've got this on vinyl, you want the new vinyl? I was like, I'd love it, but I'm never going to play it because I have 3 jerk kids that will destroy the needle and the vinyl.
Yep.
But then speaking of vinyl, you should all go and do your research. One of the best releases that came out this year was a 10-inch of a classic seminal Canberra heavy metal band called Precursor, and their first demo, Little People, Big Defects. And they played the very first Metal for the Brain. They were just integral in the scene back in the day. And listening to it now, you would probably all go, what the fuck is this? Because it's fruity, weird, Belko, bong smoking, pizza eating, beer guzzling, mosh mutant.
This is along the lines of that Golden Crop band too.
No, we were absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. These were good. And Mags' first band for pop people.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, man. So as we mentioned before, plenty of references there, and we spoke a little bit off mic about the uprise of the BMA magazine coming back. We spoke about it in physical form. I've seen those around the place, and I was excited to have you on the show and be able to talk about it a little bit more. We mentioned it before on the show, and now we're getting the other side of it. How's that going?
It's good to be back. Alan has spent a lot of energy. I mean, there was only, I guess, it's about three street issues back in now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a huge effort on Alan's behalf to get the magazine back into print again. So locals, please go out and buy some advertising to support it if you want to read it while you're in the pub, because it's not free anymore to do things physically. And I kind of prefer to read it physical as well.
Does that
really cool.
Does that have any sort of government subsidy thing going on? Does the government put any money into that?
No,
That's
they have
crazy.
to pay for the tram.
With all the things that they put money to in this town, all those weird roadside sculptures and that, and we can't even have a...
Man,
Well, Canberra's culture, Canberra culture is the Pirates of Penzance, or something at the Canberra Theatre, or fucking,
Dude.
fire trucking. Are we allowed to swear on this show?
like I said, I can
We just cut it out for the
I can
radio,
edit out really well.
leave it in for the podcast.
Okay.
So we prefer the swearing in the podcast.
Well, fuck this town. In that case, I went to school with Andrew Barr. He was in the same year as me at school.
For someone that went to school with Andrew, the age stick hasn't hit you as hard as him. I think politics has really brought it down,
absolutely.
I think it does to everyone, doesn't it?
But I went to Lake Ginninderra College, which, of course, is just down the road from this fine institution here in the heart of Belconnen. And I can say that all of the AIS students went to there. And in my maths class, I did dumb as a dick maths, which is the non-tertiary one, just to keep mum and dad happy. Hence why Andrew Barr probably did tertiary mash, and he's where he is and I'm over here. So, take that as you will. But in my maths class, I basically had 5 soccer players from the house who easily would have made multiple millions of dollars playing in Europe. Mark Viduka went to that school.
Yeah.
As a notable. But probably my favourite alumni was young Scotty Miller, Olympic swimmer, silver medalist, and busted with a pill press in Newey a couple of years later. Big shout out to Scotty.
It's crazy though, isn't it? Like the people that you grow up besides, and you think you're all going to end up in the same place. I was childhood friends with a guy named Jason Berendorf, who is now an Australian Test cricketer. And when we were in high school and we were doing the bands and stuff, he used to go down to the nets and play cricket with a couple other guys, and we thought that, what are you doing, mate? This isn't what you do in high school. No one's going to think you're cool for doing that. Well, isn't he laughing now?
Yeah. Here you go.
Just come off the World
Still
Cup.
playing tippity runs in one hand, one bounce.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said before, it's good to have BMA back on the end
That's
of
what
the
we were
bar.
crapping on about.
Yeah, it's good to have BMA on the back of the end of the bar, and it's good to see the layout changes with the poster wall in the back.
I like
man.
the poster wall.
Was that one of your ideas, man?
Oh, absolutely not. I have very little in the way of good ideas that come to the BMA. I write my column. I actually would like to pose a challenge out. I reckon I'm the longest running columnist in Canberra. So take that 2CC in the City News jerks on your Sunday morning roast, talking shit. I'm going to drop the mic. I think I started in 97 doing the column.
Yep.
Was it still called what it was today? Or what it is today?
It was medalised, but I did write it as JJ Lahore because I wanted to...
You wanted a moniker.
Yeah, I don't know why. I can't remember why. Seemed like a good idea. Maybe
Hearing half the stories
about
half the stories about you growing up, I'm not surprised.
I like it, man. As you mentioned before, you got to get behind it to help support the physical copies because stuff isn't free. And I noticed that there's a post to say if you want to get your poster on the back of that to hit up the guys at BMA. So anyone out there that's listening has a gig coming up that you want to put in BMA, make sure you hit them up. I'll put a link in the description so you can flick them a message and get some stuff out.
But also, if you're in a metal band and you're doing an album launch or you're playing some shows, please, I've been doing this for a long time. My email address is an @hotmail.com email address. So that's how long I've been doing it. That probably puts it in perspective. Doom till death, of course. Doom, TIL, death. Again, I'm on the alarm. It's with the alarm. Get the phone turned off. I'm trying to give the people the message in here. Doom till death @hotmail.com. Please tell me when you're putting an album out or you want to do a show, and I'm more than happy to put it in. I just need about a month's notice minimum because that's about the lead time for writing into the issues.
Perfect, man. Well, it's a bit like with these shows, like we queue up episodes fairly far in advance to make sure that everyone gets in.
What do you mean we're not live right now?
Yeah, that's right, man. As I awkwardly cut that section out, and like the bit that you hear is Josh half saying we're not live right now with like a half a track played in between accidentally. No, man, but yeah,
this is the remix.
Yeah, this is the remix. If you heard that, you're listening to the podcast, not the radio. Oh man! And if you heard that for the first time, there's plenty of other episodes for you to listen to. Don't just listen because you've seen Josh. There's other ones here.
There's a plethora of
there's some more
delights
good
out
ones. There. I mean, admittedly, I've probably only maybe got through 15, 20 of them at this stage. And what are we up to?
This is episode 66.
66, my gosh.
Special numbers, 66.
A tenth of the beast.
I mean, if you sit down and spend, 1.5 to 2 hours with every band, I mean, that's a lot of time.
It all adds up. And with choosing the right tracks and everything, there's a lot that goes into the show that you don't see in the show because you just hear music and don't know the research that goes into choosing what bands it is. Look, most of the time it's because a band liked our photo and I'm like, I'm going to check out your band. Oh, that's a cool sounding band.
Sick.
It's exactly what happened with someone added that to their Instagram story and I'm like, yo, I didn't even know that band existed. Doom band from Adelaide.
Yeah,
So-
well, the Adelaide seems
Oh,
to
sorry, Acid Wolf.
Adelaide
Yeah,
seems to
Acid
have
Wolf.
quite the scene that doesn't seem to really, I guess, make it out.
Well, it's just so
Very
difficult
homogenous.
to get there.
Well,
If
yeah.
you're, like the Melbourne Adelaide is doable. Like it's about 6 or 7 hours drive, maybe a little bit more.
There was a junkie once who told me there were no direct flights to Adelaide from Canberra.
That's the proof of chemical
Well,
treatment.
there was.
He
That
was
was it.
heavily barium poisoned. At
That
the
was
time.
it. Look at that plane. It's going to Adelaide. Everyone knows there's no direct flights to Adelaide from Canberra.
And meanwhile, this guy's telling me this, and it was 2 weeks before I'd flown directly to and from Adelaide, and I can confirm that the barium was on full bore for the Chemi Trail.
Oh, you weren't really in
Folks.
Adelaide. That's why you couldn't find the Doom scene.
If it,
Hydra Medusa are a great Adelaide band.
okay.
They're a really good band. But there's been a bunch of... Captain Cleanoff probably stand out for me when I think of Adelaide bands. An incredible grind band from back in the day.
Yep.
And a lot of those boys had a bunch of other bands off the side of that were killer. But I mean, we've been to... I've been to Adelaide quite a few times.
Well, yeah,
Several times.
most of
More
us
than
have
10.
been. I think once the taxi driver picked me up to take me to the airport to fly to Adelaide, didn't get fuel before he picked me up, so we had to do that, and then I ended up missing my
that's
flight.
right.
And then there was another time where Murph and I, after work, tried to get a plane to Adelaide, and the flight got cancelled, and they had to make a what was it, like the scrappings of a bunch of bands together to sort of pull some sort of a show together.
That's
We've
right.
not had the best of luck on Adelaide, that's for sure.
And I believe it was Adelaide on the Black Breath tour where I bought a ticket from Adelaide to Canberra instead of from Canberra to Adelaide and got to the airport, and that was the end of that one.
Oh, right.
Always check the form, kids. Double check. Where are you when you want to leave, and where do you want to go to? It's pretty simple. Some of us cost $500 or $600. Anyway,
We mentioned before that you guys have got a gig coming up in the next couple months at Transit Bar. Now that one there is it's been announced as the farewell to the drummer. So you guys obviously moving on into different stuff after that. Is there what sort
yeah.
of
Well,
things
actually,
you
we're
got?
kicking the bass player out. It's just a ruse. We're going to tempt him out, and Al, I'm sorry if you're hearing this now. It's all over. But no, seriously, Simon and his good lady wife, love, are going to... They're not
Mate,
quite
as
wife.
good as.
De facto. Is that what we say? Is that too old? Anyway,
Yeah.
they're going to Indonesia to live for 3 years. So, I mean...
So Murph's going to Indonesia to be pretty much a beach bum, because I think he's not going to have an Indonesian
Kept
work
man.
visa.
Right. Stop it.
Apparently there are jobs you can
You
get
say like that.
within the
You say that
consulate.
like it's a bad thing.
Well, no, but I'm very excited for this stage of his life. He's also meandered at the idea of starting an Indo punk band, which would be pretty cool because their punk scene over there is
It's lit, eh? Like I heard that.
mental.
Yeah, I heard that the Indo scene's insane, and so as part of the show, I get random messages and requests from people, and one person was from Indonesia, and they said to me,
No Nigerian kings.
No, not just yet. You'll know when our mics are gold plated. I said, oh, so are we getting reach out to Indonesia? Because like I can see which country our podcast is being played in. And I was like, so do we get reach out there? Yeah, and they said now that like metal's more accepted socially in Indonesia, like everyone's kind of getting more into it, and these bands are popping up. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I used to hear stories back in the day where the cops would like beat up the punks just for looking like punks and stuff.
Yeah, not play gigs and stuff.
It's a conservative religious society. So rock is still kind of, still kind of next level over there.
They're having their 60s and 70s of the American culture or something like that, aren't they, where everything was the devil. But yeah, it's cool. They have shows in like shopping centres and stuff. Just it's real weird, but real cool. Lots of...
Well, Wormrot, the Ear 8 band, they're an amazing grind band from Indo, and they're incredible. But in recent years, our friends in High Tension have played a couple of crazy festivals there. Like the stage is in some rocks on some island. It just looks absolutely like it's insane. It's worth having a look at the High Tension Gram because they punched a bunch of vids on that. But yeah, like I mean, Murph's going over there. He's currently in about 15 bands here.
Is it 15? I thought maybe closer to 20.
Probably. Ironically, Murph is. We've got 3 guitarists in our band. Jake can also play guitar, but the best guitarist plays drums in I Exist, which is handy. Because he'd show off the rest of them. So it's too high standard. But Sam and Murph are also in a Canberra punk band called Dicky Birds that just put a self-titled album out in the last couple of months. It's on vinyl on Beat on the Brat Records. Shout out to Tomo for that one. But it's a really good punk record. So Murph can literally sit down with a guitar anywhere and make a crazy album. Yeah. He's got one of the sickest right hands.
I'm just going to correct JJ there and say Tomo's label is called Rain on the Parade.
What is if you want to go and check it out. Records, isn't that the one that they put it out? I thought Tomo.
No, it's on Rain on the Parade.
I don't know. We could be in for a... Look, we get you two. This is for the podcast listeners, obviously. On the radio, this back and forth won't be done. But if you could settle that argument and perhaps come back in with a cheeky edit on what label that record's been. And I've got 5 Australian... Yep. I've got 5
How are they going to do that?
Rupiah.
How are they going to do that
when
we're
I'm
live?
Correct.
But, I'm going to...
Get on the brat!
I tell you what... Now that we've done that, I'm going to leave that whole section in. You guys look it up yourself. You're using a podcast. You got the internet.
Oh, dear. Dear God, that wasn't my fault. Yeah. But anyway...
Also, he's our friend. So that's quite
Murph, Murph's going away.
We'll work it out.
Yeah, Murph's away.
We're gonna play this show. We're gonna have a good time. Appreciate him still being in the country for the little bit left of time that he has. But he's doing a massive run this year with, like JJ said, the Dicky Birds. The other band, which is 4/6 of I Exist, is 3/6
or half.
Mental Cavity. So Mental Cavity have got a record coming out soon.
They do,
and it is absolutely crushing.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It's
brutal.
Yeah.
BRUDL umlauted E.
So,
brutal.
Yeah. Murph's not been short of things to do.
No. And they've got a film clip coming out for one of the songs. You might recognise me in it. I'm quite good.
So they're doing this. I got shown after Jam the other night, and it's like it's a really nice made.
It's well shot.
Video with
lovely stock.
Lots of stock footage with like the sort of the rolling timer in it, and the nuclear mushroom cloud, and the sort of 60s Americans getting about their business, cut in with them all playing.
Fallout video game.
And then when it gets to the part where I didn't even know this was coming. It hit me with a great deal of surprise. But JJ is, you're wearing a beanie. You look like Kerry King.
I'm wearing a crowbar beanie, and I'm glad you asked, Jake, because I'm actually wearing the same outfit today. These very jeans and this shirt by a little
it's like you knew it
3 go-getters from Sydney called Potion. Great doom band.
But anyway, you got to, when it does come out, you got to check it out. See JoJo just absolutely ruin that film clip for anyone that was enjoying it up to that point.
Yeah, it was like there's 4 young strapping men, and then their uncle comes in wearing a beanie and does a bit of a guitar solo.
Perfect, man.
Which is pretty much a good run of my experience in I Exist over the last 10 years.
I think they were very generous just to put you in the video clip. They could have just claimed that for themselves.
They could have.
Yeah.
They could have. I did spend at least 15 minutes writing that solo.
It's about the most time you spent on anything.
Yes. Yes, guilty. Okay. Thanks, Jake.
Man, if anyone's listened to any of the I Exist tracks in this show already, you know that Josh isn't shy of a riff. So, like, you're being humble because you're on the show, man. But we definitely appreciate your skills.
Stop it.
Man,
look at you.
Some tasty guitar.
The beard and rings.
Exactly, man.
It's going to eat you up.
A
tall, hairy glass of water you are.
Oh, man.
I don't think that can go on the radio either, Josh.
That's going straight to the sample tracks.
What's that porn where they just read it out for the blind people?
I don't know.
I'm getting to the deep cuts. I'm an old man.
You might say I've never seen it.
Oh, you might even say
It's a high five, ladies and
you
gentlemen.
might even say that I Exist is already porn for blind people.
Oh, stop it.
All right, we we mentioned before that you got drummers moving on to other stuff. Do you guys have any projects that you want to shout out as well?
Oh, I'll take that first, Jade. I'm doing I've joined a new band who have been probably around for just shy of what I Exist have, about the 10-year mark now. But
Are they that old? I didn't think
they are.
around that long.
But it's I guess it was a slow building history. Anyway, the name of the band is Sumaru. They're from
Not to be
Sydney,
confused with Subaru the car.
not Subaru. And in fact, I've been told that the better pronunciation of it is Sumaru.
Do you
But,
say it in a
I don't know.
Japanese business, like a samurai? But Sumeru. I'm going to say it in exactly that way from this time forth.
You heard
Jake.
it here.
Of Sumeru.
Anyway, they're guys that we played with many a time over the years. The singer,
Incredible band.
incredibly talented guy, both in his music and what he does with film. He had to make a decision between the two, and he's gone to the States to chase his dreams in the film world, and they had a spot empty, so I've done 3 shows with them now. They haven't told me to get the fuck out yet, so...
Jake's getting quite a number of frequent fly miles on Greyhound bus going to Sydney and back.
Get the old
Shout out
Murrays.
to the faint urine smelling bus.
So this
Coach.
this is the trick. You don't sit anywhere near the back
Right.
for 2 reasons. One is the toilet, and 2, it takes forever to get off a bus when you just want to get off a bus if you're sitting at the back.
Yeah.
See, that's deep cuts, kids.
There we
Listen to him. He knows.
Yeah, so that's going to keep me busy, I suppose, while Murph is abroad. We don't know how often he's going to be.
What's the last album called? The one that's new, the newest one that they put out just before you joined.
It's called Summon Destroyer.
So there's an album for everyone to check out. That was on my top 10 list last year.
It's a fantastic record. I wish I could say I had anything to do with it.
It is a good record.
I'm riding the coattails of it at the moment, but yeah.
Big riffs, very big, large riffs, monumental riffs, big ones.
I'm sure the boys would appreciate that. Thank you.
They're great. They're lovely boys.
What are you digging up out of the grave, JJ?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jake. We're bringing back the pod, the POD.
No way.
The POD's back in town, and once again it might send off a new set of emails that I did used to get quite regularly back in the late 90s from pastors in Texas that would like POD to spread their good Christian rock message. I was like, have you seen our album with the fold-out upside-down cross with a map of hell on it? I'm not sure.
That was Doom Saloon, wasn't
There's
it?
Doom Saloon, correct.
Well, choose one track from that album. We'll play
Just
it.
the one that goes, well, come on.
Well, yes.
That's the intro track.
That is the intro track.
It is.
One my dad likes to call the Leighton Hewitt. Come on!
All right, okay.
It's a dad joke there.
The old man, a Pod People fan.
Dad was like, my dad, I've tried to convince him to come for to a show at any point in the last about 30 years I've been playing gigs, and that's a big no so far.
Okay.
But he's a supporter. You know, he has, if I ever lose a copy of a record, because I hardly ever have anything that I've done, he's got everything on CD.
So he's holding your discography for you.
He has the discography. He has the Golden Crop,
Oh, really?
Elephant One release. He has All Throth.
What's it go for on eBay these days?
I don't believe it's on eBay. I haven't believe we've made it to the upper echelon of
You
it.
haven't
Maybe more. It'd be more like given away for free on Wish.
You haven't sold the royalties of songs like Barnes, Chicken and Tractors to an agricultural advertising firm? Or
I can't believe
No?
it hasn't happened yet. It's unbelievable. But Pod People is indeed back. Unfortunately, our wonderful guitarist Mel Walker decided not to come back on board with us. She's focusing on her record with the Pilots of Baalbek, which feature Adam from Levitation, Hex and Alchemist, Mel's sister Leah, and Locke from Looking Glass, the bass players playing drums in that band. They're like a 70s psych rock bonanza. Fantastic. Good to check them out. That album should be out either late this or early next year. But so in that sort of Canberra, keep it in the family thing, we've replaced Mel with Roy Talkington from Alchemist, who actually designed the album cover for Doom Saloon for us.
Oh, right.
The irony.
To tie it all back in there.
Hold
It
on.
was actually in my plan in 2000. So looking forward 20 years in time. You know who I need to do this album cover, boys? The guy that I'm going to ask to play guitar on it 19 years later. And I was right. The plan succeeded. But Brad's real keen. So Brad and JD have been playing in a band called Lucifungus, who you've probably heard of. They've been around the traps quite active lately. And they, speaking of vinyl and coloured vinyls, as we were earlier, amazing. You'd be very poor keeping up with the options on that one. But Brad and a couple of other guys, Nathan from the Doomsday Festival and Jason Fuller from Goat Sound and Blood Duster, they've come together to create a new Doom Festival that's happening down at the Tote in Melbourne on the 29th of November this year. So far announced on the lineup has been White Horse, probably one of the heaviest Doom bands Australia's absolutely ever seen, if not the world. An incredible band. Potion, Sydney, 3 kids that just play the best Doom. They're really like a great Sydney band.
They're at the 10-year anniversary gig for I Exist.
They were.
They were.
I think all of them too, weren't they?
Yeah.
They
Yes,
were,
yeah.
yes.
It was, who was the black metal band that filled in? They at the start.
Rowan.
It's something to do
Plowshare?
with Nietzsche. Yeah,
Plowshare, yeah. They played
Incredible.
a gig here too, yeah.
Yeah, they're an amazing band.
Yeah.
Although they've got about 3 or 4 bands going at once. Rose Hart, he's almost in as many bands as Murph.
yeah. But he's I guess not so overt about it. He squirrels away in his bedroom.
Well, even the Plowshare
Writing
boys, their stage attire was just chucking the hoodie on. You know, it was kind of anonymous.
Dark red light, that's it.
Yeah.
Howling winds of brutality.
It was literally like I've said before, man. Some black metal bands, the vocals is another instrument. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you were running through the lineup for the Doom Festival.
Yes,
So we
Dr. Colossus are playing. I think they're a New Zealand band. Who else has been announced yet? God, I can't even remember. It's been a slow feed because it's still a ways off.
Are pod people playing this?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jake. But yes, that'll be our first show back since 2011 with Cough. At a Doomsday Festival in Sydney was our last show. And then we'll be looking to play here sometime in the summer and do some shows in March next year when we're playing another Doom Festival in New Zealand. It should be quite entertaining.
Oh,
Perfect.
suck.
Yeah, bro. It's going to be absolutely suck.
Man, speaking of New Zealand, I've seen that the Witch Girl Boys just finished up their tour with the guys from Beast Wars.
They did, and they got on very well.
What, like 400 people at each show? They were ranting and raving.
The New Zealand shows were massive. They had to sell a second show after selling out the Wellington one the first night. Auckland was packed. Sydney was okay. It wasn't huge, but they sold out the Gershwin room, which is $400 at $40. So do the math on that. That's a nice night out. Yeah.
Good work, Val.
But yeah, like that worked really well for them. Jake and I actually hung out in their jam room this week and had a listen to some of the new material that they're putting together for their album. But I don't want to steal Joel's thunder, but look, and I'm going to steal yours right now, as this is your last show.
That's right.
At the head, as like the head snake of the Hydra, the two-headed snake. That is the Canberra Metalhead show. Jay, let's not bother talking to Mark anymore. Come on. Jay, I can tell you, look, don't worry about funny man over there. Oh, look at me. Comedy. What I meant. Witch Girl will be recording this year. and the album we're hoping to see out in the early part of next year to follow up Coven's Will. They've already got a title for it. I'm not going to tell you that now, but I know.
Ooh.
And it's a ripper.
Jesus.
But we heard some of the new song, and the song that they played before we had to go and rehearse the other night was absolutely killer. So they're going to be back very soon with some new music, and it's going to be fantastic.
Excellent.
But they're also playing a couple of shows coming up. So keep your ears out. We won't talk to Marky about those. We'll have to tell Jay. Again.
Jay,
They're not playing a comedy festival, are they?
man, I know that Jay will be able to carry on with the stuff, and like I said, I'll be guesting occasionally. I know that the guys from Witch Skull have done 2 shows with us already, so they're really cool and always welcome to have on the show. Really cool bunch of dudes, and yeah, looking forward to hearing some of their new stuff. Their last album blew me away. I bought, like we were saying off mic, I bought all 3 versions of Coven's Will. They had through Rise Above Records, they had the clear, purple and black releases, so yeah, it's cool.
That's cool. I mean, to be on a international label and them care enough about you to want to do more than just a black vinyl is, I think, saying something in this day and age. So
Actually,
they got good support.
Yeah, man, like Markys was telling me, it's like, man, when I got all the vinyls that was wrapped with the Rise Above Records tape, he's like, I pulled it all off and I just wanted to wrap myself in it.
He says the best stuff about that.
Dude, that's
really
perfect.
good.
It's just like, like I mentioned before, the level of detail, even the tape they wrap their packages with is Rise Above Records tape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're
A label that cares
branded.
about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's their 30th anniversary this year, so they've just done a whole bunch of reissues. So Church of Misery I think they've done 4 Church of Misery reissues, and there'll be a bunch of other ones from their estimable catalogue. Did I mention that Pod People was the first Australian band to be on Rise Above Records? I don't know if I dropped that in there, but I believe I just did. Anyway, we were on Rise Above first.
It's good, man. This is like a good crossover between Witch Skull and Pod People. It's cool to have. So yeah, check out the upcoming gig for the guys with I Exist at Transit Bar on
Please. 14th of September.
And closing it up with another I Exist track. We're gonna play out the interview with From Darkness. This is the title track from the album, which I'm recording from vinyl. The last track on the vinyl. It's as we mentioned before, big old gatefold, 4-sided album. So yeah, good one to close it up with. And I noticed there's like a bonus track at the end.
Yeah, the Full for Death is a song that we did as a World Record Day 7-inch many moons ago. And I think because it was only on a 7-inch record, we felt the song deserved a bit more exposure than that, so we just slotted her in there at the end of the record, but
We also made our only film clip
on the record.
Our only film clip was also made for that song.
Cool. Yeah, so secret little bonus track at the end of the next track. So listen to that one as well. And for now, thanks for listening to the interview. Come back with more music after this. But while we're on the mics, thanks for coming in and thanks for being part of my final show in the announcer's seat. And before JJ takes over.
That's confusing. 2 JJs, like.
Well, it's 4 J's if you wanted to be technical.
Well, yeah. What if you
J's
two
and
just
an
end
M.
up doing another one together? Like,
We've got
I'm
yeah.
JJ and this is J.
Decay.
JDecay.
yeah, that's
JDecay. We could make it triple JDecay. 5 J's, a quint of K's and J's.
No, I'll say at this point, thank you to the Canberra Metalheads podcast for having us on. It's been a real old time. I enjoyed just sitting back here and watching JJ make an ass of himself.
I too have enjoyed watching him make an ass of himself. There's unfortunately a mirror down there that I keep catching myself in.
Spent the last 11 years doing it, and I'm not about to stop now.
Yeah,
well, I'd like to thank Jake for letting us know the correct pronunciation of Sumaru, which we've all learnt now, which is good.
And you know, I'd like to say thanks, Mark. You've been a breath of fresh air on the radio waves. Your enthusiasm for heavy metal, and in particular local heavy metal, has been infectious. It's been vexatious that it hasn't been brought to the fore earlier.
Never heard that word before.
I may have made it up. I don't know.
But yeah, cheers.
But it's great.
Yep, thanks, boys. Cheers for thanks for coming on, and also the final gig at the at Transit Bar will mark the I guess
September 14th.
Yeah, I think we're gonna
start of the hiatus with you guys, or
I think yes. I think you're probably more correct than we'd like to think you are. It'll all depend on what goes on with I suppose Murph in the next few years. But if you like the band and if you want to see us potentially for the last time, then come down on the 14th to Transit Bar.
Yeah, we want to party with you. We've had a lovely time in the last decade, and a bit.
And we want to send it off in Canberra. So
yeah, sick, man. Well, like I said, off the back of you thanking me, man. Thank you guys for everything you've done. I know that I Exist has been something that has been a band that I've always. I think one of my first big gigs here in Canberra was an I Exist gig here at the basement. So
just meters from where we are now. Hey, the irony.
Man, I actually told my cousin that lives a few hours away, dude, come check this out, and we watch you guys for the first time. It was his first time ever at the basement, so that was really sick, man. So yeah, shout out for that, and Canberra Metalheads.
It's Josh Nixon here. Cut.
It's Josh Nixon, a.k.a. JJ Lahore, coming at you from the Rift Dome that is Canberra Metalheads.
Bam!